Hey, this is episode number 41 of Gen X Amplified, and today this is a very special episode because this is a solo episode. That is right. This is just going to be me in your earbuds today because I want to take this time to unpack my overall purpose and my mission for this podcast. So, are you ready? Let's do it. You are extraordinary. You are excellent. You are this generation that really can help fuel all of the advances that need to happen at work, in business, and life.
Welcome to Gen X Amplified, where we bring you inspirational and entertaining conversations with successful Gen X leaders and entrepreneurs.
This is the show created just for you. The powerful generation between the boomers and millennials to help you amplify your story,
maximize your impact,
and become Gen Exceptional in business and in life.
Now, here's your host, Adrion Porter.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Gen X Amplified, which is the podcast and platform where it is my mission to empower and help Gen X leaders and mid-career professionals maximize our impact at work, in business, and in life. Thank you so much, as always, for being part of this journey, for listening to the podcast and subscribing and sharing with all of your friends, family, and loved ones. So today, on this episode, I thought I would actually do something a little different, and this will be a solo episode. That's right. It's just going to be you and me. And I want to give you a little background on why I'm doing this, and also take this time to really just provide some insights. So, and actually this is long overdue. So this is going to be very candid, no really prepared speech. This is literally me just getting on the mic and sharing some insights. So quite a few people have reached out to me since I've launched a podcast, and most recently relaunched a podcast. And I've heard, Adrion, I love your interviews and the insights from your guests, but I also want to hear more about you and your background and more about why you do what you do, etc. And so I thought about it, and I'm like, oh my God, I actually have not really recorded an episode to talk about the reason why I'm doing this podcast and the mission and the purpose, and a little bit even more about me and my background. So I really can't believe I hadn't done it yet, but this is long overdue. And so I thought I would take this time for this episode number 41, to do that. And so this was a solo episode, and I actually will be doing more of these solo episodes as well. I've done them before, and in between some of the great conversations I have with guests and thought leaders and getting their insights, I will be sharing some of my own personal perspectives and insights, which I've been told and been requested to do more of. So this episode will primarily focus on my overall purpose and my mission doing this podcast, the mission for the movement. What exactly does Gen X Amplified mean? And I'm going to break this down probably in 3 parts. So number 1, just give you a little bit of background about me professionally and personally, about who I am and all the things that I've done. Number 2 is to really unpack my overall mission and my why I decided to launch this show. And then lastly, just to give just a little and brief insight into my overall vision of what I want to accomplish with not only the podcast, but the things that I do with coaching or consulting or speaking specifically about the power of mid-career professionals and Gen Xers and what have you, and how all of my listeners, and how all of us can help propel this movement forward. So first, let me just give you a little background about me. So I actually, and this will be very brief, and I encourage all of you to check out my website at adrionporter.com, or even my LinkedIn page, to really get the professional bio, my background, professional experience, and all that, which is, I'll share a little bit about that. But just wanted to talk a little bit about my background. So I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. That's right. I am a Southern gentleman, if I say so myself, but I'm a Southern guy, born and raised in Memphis back in 1971. So right now I am 47 years old, but I was born and raised in Memphis and actually went, to elementary school, junior high, high school. And also I went to undergrad there at University of Memphis. Go University of Memphis Tigers, which another great Gen Xer, Penny Hardaway, is now the head coach of my alma mater. So I am definitely supporting Penny. But anyway, went to University of Memphis undergrad, local there, and majored in accounting, which is cool, but really wasn't my passion. But I left there. And at the same time, while I was there in the last 2 years, I actually worked full time. So I kind of went to school part time the last couple of years in undergrad. And I worked full time as a call center supervisor. So I got my start in the call center business. But after that, I decided that I wanted to go and further my education. I went to Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee to get my MBA in marketing. So I went there for 2 years and had great experience, met some great friends, and really loved that experience at Vandy, which specifically the business school is called Owen. And so I graduated Owen in 1999, and that led me to the big city. I moved to New York City, the Big Apple, and got a job at Citibank, specifically Citigroup, the headquarters. And I worked in their digital marketing and credit card division, in their e-consumer group, and got a chance to do some really great projects there. This was 1999. So really at the helm of the kind of the Web 1.0 movement. And some of the projects I mentioned, I did some great things there. I got a chance to really launch and build the brand Citibank's, or Citigroups, I should say, first person-to-person payment product, which was their answer to PayPal. So was part of the key launch team there. Got a chance to do that. Left Citigroup and then really started my career in media and worked for HBO for 5 years as a marketing director. Great experience there. And I'm actually going to probably dedicate an episode just to talk about some of the key lessons that I learned from working for HBO and the big media company, which at the time was Time Warner, which HBO is a part of, which is now Warner Media. And all that being said, which is really key in my own personal and professional growth in working in media. And so HBO was really awesome opportunity. I got a chance to work with some very smart people and learn some key principles when it comes to really managing, marketing, and developing a strong media brand. And so left there, moved to Atlanta after my wife and I had our first child, and got a chance to work for Turner Broadcasting, specifically for Cartoon Network, and as a senior marketing director. So another great opportunity with a great, awesome entertainment brand and franchise. Got a chance to work specifically on the Star Wars, the Clone Wars brand. I oversaw the marketing there along with my team, managed a one-on-one relationship with Lucasfilm, got a chance to spend the night at the Skywalker Ranch, which was pretty cool. And, really got up every day to go to work to motivate kids to watch animation and cartoons. Now you talk about a really cool gig. So left there, actually got laid off from Turner back in 2011. So after that, really spent some time doing consulting. I got a chance to embrace some of my other passions, which is audio and strategy, and did some audio branding consulting. I got a chance to speak at Oxford University during one of their audio branding strategy conferences there, along with some great people such as famed TED speaker Julian Treasure and some more people. So all that being said, really just had some awesome experiences working for some big brands, really great opportunities, some fun projects. And then that led me to launching this podcast back in 2015 initially. And I'm going to talk very much about why I decided to do that. But then quickly, let me just talk a little bit about between that time, 2015 and now. I also had an opportunity to join a tech startup here in the Atlanta area called iDisciple as their chief marketing officer. And I worked there for 2 years, the previous 2 years. And that was a great opportunity for number one. The reason why, number one, is that I never worked for a faith-based organization. And the reason that that was really great is because I am a person of faith, and faith is really important to me. So to get a chance to go to work every day and to do something that was purposeful, meaningful, and to start something that was fresh and new, especially in the tech space, was a really great experience. And initially I was a little hesitant because I did, and I still do, and I love being independent and doing consulting, but the opportunity presented itself, and it was a chance for me to do something different and to challenge myself. And I did it, and we really did some great things at iDisciple. I got a chance to work with some great teams and launch, the company's first podcast. We did a full rebrand. We got a chance to do a merger and an acquisition with some other key media properties as well. So great experience. And then that led me to now coming back to the consulting world, the coaching world, the speaking world, and relaunching this show. And so that was my kind of long-winded background. You can get more again as far as the particulars on my bio and some of my other social pages as far as LinkedIn and what have you. But I just wanted to verbally give you some insight into my background and why I do what I do. So now let's transition to this podcast. So the reason why I decided to launch Gen X Amplified is during that time that I mentioned, excuse me, got a little cough, but during that time when I mentioned that I was laid off from Turner back in 2011, 2012, I was, really looking to find my way. And as a mid-career professional, we have all this experience. We have all of these experiences and passions and things that we want to do. And so I was, being a content junkie, I was really looking for inspirational and aspirational content that spoke specifically to the pain points that I was feeling, which were looking at how I can leverage my experiences in this new media digital world, specifically as someone that wasn't a millennial or a young professional, and also someone that wasn't really ready to retire, someone in that boomer generation, if we're talking generationally. But what I saw, or actually what I did not see, was a lot of content and platforms speaking directly to that mid-career person or that Gen Xer, if you will. And it frustrated me, to be honest with you. It frustrated me because I felt that, I was part of a demographic that was really critical when it comes to leadership and professional development. Had a lot of pain points, but a lot of opportunities. I saw all of the narrative around these other segments of the population, such as millennials, which again, I did not deem as negative. I did not. I just wondered why there were not a lot of focus and platforms speaking to people that were in the phase of their careers that were approaching leadership positions, that were approaching in the family home, that were approaching decisions to be made for their children or possible retirement activities. Gen Xers mid-30s to mid-50s. I was wondering why there weren't a lot of conversations around how the Gen Xers were really critical to the future of work. There weren't a lot of conversations around entrepreneurship opportunities when it comes to Gen Xers. And so I was surprised and frustrated. But then I wondered, I said, this is such an important and critical dynamic that really needs to be quote unquote amplified, because I was feeling it. And I had friends and colleagues that were also in my age range feeling it as well. And they were looking for inspirational, motivational, professional development content, professional and personal brand development content as well, because personal branding is really critical when it comes to professional growth and career advancement. And so, between my own personal thoughts and the thoughts of other colleagues that I was speaking to, I said, you know what? And this is something that I say a lot. I said, you know what? I thought about the great quote from Gandhi, I believe, which, be the change you wish to seek in the world. I think that is the correct saying, but be the change that you wish to seek in the world. If you see a void, if you see a need that's not being fulfilled, then you be the one to make that change. And that is exactly what I decided to do. And so I thought about, well, what medium could I use that would help solve this problem, that would help fill this void? And I am a huge fan of media, not only because I've worked in media for many years, but also I am a huge media consumer. And specifically, I'm a huge podcast junkie, if you will. I love the medium of podcasting. I love the intimacy. I love the mobility benefits that you can listen and engage and be empowered on the go. Listen to podcasts in parallel while you're doing something else, cleaning the house, working out, whatever it is. You can still be entertained and empowered and educated and engaged with content while you're doing something else, unlike text or unlike video, which I love video. But then again, with video also has its limitations because you have to literally be paying attention with your ears and your eyes, especially your eyes. With podcasting, all you need are your ears, and you still can be fulfilled with great content. So I said, well, hey, there's a benefit. And then also thinking about if I wanted to use podcasting or podcast to launch a platform, speaking directly to Gen Xers, another great benefit of podcasting is that many Gen Xers and many people that are in that mid-career phase, we are very, very busy. And so what better way to try to take advantage and gain the attention of a busy mid-career Gen X professional than podcasting, because they can listen to the podcast while they are commuting to that job every morning or from work in the evenings, while they are cleaning the house, working on their car, working out on the weekends or after work through their earbuds. And so I said, great, this is such a great opportunity. So all that being said, I decided to launch Gen X Amplified as a podcast to really just speak to that Gen X leader, professional, mid-career professional, and just provide a platform to help empower them. And so my mission that you hear me say all the time, specifically on the intros of this show, and you will hear me say, in written form, is that my mission is to empower and help Gen X leaders and mid-career professionals maximize our impact at work, in business, and in life. It's very clear cut. I know it. I live it. I breathe it. That is my mission. And I specifically call out work, business, and life because I believe those are the three pillars of our experiences that really need attention, because we are very busy with work, whether we are working on our own business or we are a professional within an organization. And then business. Work is business. And especially if you are thinking about launching your own business, there really needs to be some great content speaking to the benefits and the key insights and tips and tactics of launching a business or working in business. And then life. I did not want to exclude the power of being an exceptional person and leader, not only at work, but also in the day-to-day life, at home, with your family, with your own aspirations. And so that is my mission, very clear cut, and it's something that I'm extremely proud of. And so tying it back to the show, the goal was to use the platform to interview other thought leaders to provide them an opportunity to tell their story, to empower my listeners. And I got a chance to really speak to you and have conversations, and still do, with some great people. And just to clarify too, many of my guests are what you would call Gen Xers, but also I've interviewed boomers, I've interviewed millennials, and the goal is still to provide empowering content to everyone. I would say that my primary audience would be that Gen Xer, but I have lots and many millennials listening to the show. I've heard from boomers that found great, valuable content from listening to the show. It's all meant to be empowering. But when you have a project, when you have a goal, or if you have a business, or if you have a platform. So for those of you who are listening, it's really critical and important for you to really know who your target demographic is. And you have to understand who they are, their pain points, and all the different attributes that embody them. And so that's why I know my core target. However, when you do laser focus on a core demographic, you can still reach other demographics as well. But it's really critical when you're creating content to have a specific demographic in mind. And so just a little tip for you content creators, or even all of you business owners out there that are wondering, should I specifically hone in on a target niche? And my answer to you would be definitely, but that does not mean that you will exclude other people. You actually may reach more people when you have a laser focus target in mind when it comes to your demographic. So that is literally the background of why I launched the show. And again, I would say that Gen X Amplify, and you've heard me say this as well, that it really extends beyond the podcast. The podcast is part of the platform, but this really is my mission. It's my personal mission. I'm at a stage in my life where I think more about purpose, and I think about legacy and being someone that is mid-career. I've attained a lot of success as far as just wins professionally, but I've had many failures. I've failed a lot. And I'm not ashamed to say that. But what I've done, I've learned from failures. But with all of these experiences, there comes a point where you start thinking about other things. And I started to think more about my purpose and what fulfills me. And Gen X Amplified is literally my purpose and mission as far as really wanting to empower and help this generation, what I call the Gen Exceptional generation. Literally, I really want to reframe and redefine what it means to be Gen X, not excluded or being the forgotten generation, but be the Gen Exceptional generation, or the Gen Extravagant, extraordinary, specifically exceptional. And I do believe that we are exceptional. We have attained many experiences in life, and we have much insights, and we're able to be great bridge builders within the multi-generational workforce. There's so many virtues when it comes to being someone that's mid-career that really has not been illuminated or unpacked or amplified, and that is the goal for this show. So let me talk a little bit also about, the guest strategy, the people that I have on the show. And as I mentioned, I've gotten a chance to interview many great thought leaders, authors, business leaders, corporate professionals, executives, and many of them are well known, such as Paul C. Brunson, who is known as a matchmaker. He is a columnist for USA Today, TV host. He's a great person. Carmine Gallo, who's a famed author, speaker, a trainer, wrote Talk Like Ted, one of my favorite books, The Storyteller's Secret. He has a new book called 5 Stars, which actually will be chatting with him on the podcast very soon. Marie Forleo, great personal brand content creator. These are, household names when it comes to entrepreneurship or business owners. But also, I've gotten a chance to speak to and have great conversations to people that may not be as well known. And those actually are the conversations that are very intriguing, because what fuels me is providing a platform in any way that I can to help amplify other exceptional Gen X and mid-career leaders that may not have a voice, that may not have a platform that's able to amplify all of the great things that are doing. So, for example, a person that comes to mind is Alicia Morgan, who was on the podcast recently. This is someone who I actually saw an article that she wrote about Gen X leadership and bridging the gap that I thought was very compelling. And I didn't know her at all. I never met her, but I read the article and I reached out and I complimented her on her article. I complimented her on her professional background. She actually works for a nonprofit, but she's really heavy into the STEM, the science, technology, and engineering space. She has a great academic background, and I just thought she was a very compelling leader. She's a TEDx speaker. I watched her TED Talk, which was also very intriguing and entertaining and empowering. And so this is someone that really wasn't a household name, but I felt that she really had a story to tell. And I reached out and I said, hey, I would be honored to interview you on my platform. And we had a great conversation. I really encourage you, if you haven't yet, to go back to her episode on the podcast. I believe it's episode number 38, Alicia Morgan, and where she talks about her background, her story, and her thoughts on bridging the multi-generational gap in the workplace as a Gen X leader. And so again, this is someone who was not as well known, but had one of the most compelling insights and conversations that I've had on the platform. And so when it comes to who I decide that should be on the show, I'm looking for people that have great, compelling stories, because my goal at the end of the day is to provide value to you, my listeners. And so I've been blessed with this platform. I've been blessed with the opportunities to meet other people and to really fuel this passion and this mission moving forward. And the undercurrent of all of this, as far as this mission with the podcast and this mission to want to empower Gen Xers, is that at the end of the day, it is not too late to make an impact. And I say that because many of us, whether we are mid-career or whether we are early boomer, or we may be a millennial, you may be a millennial that's feeling that, you know what, I'm in my early 30s or late 20s and it is still too late. I don't know what I want to do in life. And trust me, I'm here to tell you that it is never too late to make an impact. You need to stop thinking that it's too late. And what I mean by that, if you are a Gen Xer and you feel that you're in this midlife crisis, or you're not sure what direction to go, or if you want to start a business, or if you want to get promoted on your job, there is so much time in front of you, because we are now living in this new media digital world where the tools are in front of us to learn, to do what we want to do, to fuel our passions, to find our voice. And we have the opportunity now to make such a great impact on the world. And so that is literally probably the underpinnings, if you will, for lack of a better word, of why I do what I do. To really highlight that further is that I think about my conversation with Rodney Bullard, who is the executive director for the Chick-fil-A Foundation. He works for Chick-fil-A Corporate Incorporated, and he actually was episode number 40, the episode right before this. And he mentioned something to me on the podcast that if you heard it, you may remember it. But he mentioned something that was truly profound and was so germane to this show and my mission. He said that Truett Cathy, who was the founder of Chick-fil-A, he mentioned that Truett did not come up with the idea of Chick-fil-A until he was 46 years old. Now, think about that. I'm 47, and many Gen Xers, you think about 46, that is literally right in the middle of Gen X, if you will. He did not come up and act on the idea of Chick-fil-A as we know it today until he was 46 years old. Now, you talk about someone that is in a certain mid-career phase of their life, making such a huge multi-billion-dollar impact on the world. It's not too late. It is never too late. look, you have the experience as a Gen Xer. You have the experience, you have the expertise, you have the battle wounds, you have all of the insights, and you have the virtues that you can create such impact on the world, in your job, at home. And it is never too late. We're living longer now. Being 46, 47, 20 years ago, when I think about myself growing up and thinking about my grandparents or even my parents, when I thought about them in their 40s, they seemed so much older back then, right? But now, like I am. Look, this is right after halftime. We're living longer now. I'm in my third quarter and I'm just getting started. You're just getting started. And so I say this with such passion in my voice because I really feel it and I believe it. And I'm so excited about the opportunities that we have as a generation. And that's why I do this show is to help really provide that platform so you can hear all of the great, compelling stories from these great Gen X thought leaders, insights that even personal insights that I can provide to you to help motivate you, to let you know that you are exceptional. You are extravagant. You are extraordinary. You are excellent. You are this generation that really can help fuel all of the advances that need to happen at work, in business, and life. You have such a great opportunity in front of you. And if you are a professional at your job, working with all of these generation professionals, because right now, this is the first time that literally between 4 and 5 generations are at the workplace. You have Gen Zs that have recently graduated from college, entering work. You have millennials, you have Gen Xers, you have boomers, and every now and then you may have some of the silent generation that have not retired yet. Very few, but there may be. But think about it. You have this melting pot in the workforce of all of these perspectives in life. And this is the first time that's really happened. And how do you, as this Gen X leader, navigate that dynamic? And you actually have a great opportunity to really provide extreme value, whether you believe it or not. Even if you feel that you're being forgotten or the millennials are being aggressive and approaching on your territory, which again, you should not look at it in that way. But that may be what you're feeling, and that's okay. Or the boomers haven't retired yet and they're sticking around and keeping you from becoming advanced in your career. What you need to do is acknowledge what you feel, and I don't belittle that, but at the same time, think about, how do I make a change? How do I really promote the value that I can give to this organization? How can I navigate these different dynamics and these different generational experiences at work? Well, what you can do is really dig deep inside and say, how can you as a Gen Xer be a better bridge builder? How can you be a mentor to that millennial that you work with? How can you take the insights and the virtues of living through an analog world and a digital world that's very unique to us as a generation? Think about that. How can you take those virtues and apply them in a positive way to what you do on your job? My point is, there are so many opportunities that you have to take where you are in your phase in your career and make it an advantage. If you want to start a side business, if you want to start your own business, think about how can you, with all of your experiences and insights and opportunities with these digital platforms, how can you create something and leave a legacy and create something and act on something that you're passionate about? There's so much time. And so these are just some of the themes that I want to focus on this podcast, that I want to focus on when I do speak to people, when I do consult other mid-career professionals on personal brand development, on business building, on launching a content platform, on really finding their voice. These are the themes that really fuels my purpose and my mission. So the third element to this, number one being my background, number two being literally the mission of the podcast and why I decided to launch this show, is that thirdly, what is my overall vision? What is my goal in all of this? how does that tie into the mission of empowering mid-career Gen X professionals to maximize impact in the world, on the world, in business, life, and at work? My vision is to literally reframe the narrative of Gen X. And what I mean by that is that, I'm a brand guy. I'm a brand strategist. I love brands professionally, and that is literally, what I do. And I love redefining brands. I want to redefine the brand of Generation X, because you can't admit it, the brand of Gen X is a brand that is a forgotten generation, an overlooked generation that's really not being talked about as much. So I really want to redefine and reframe that brand of Gen X from being the overlooked and excluded generation to becoming the exceptional generation. Now, that is a very lofty vision, but lofty goals are very instrumental to us as people. You should have stretch goals in life, and that is my vision. My vision is to reframe, redefine, transform the brand of Gen X, because I do believe that our time is now. This is our time to make a change. This is our time to create massive impact on the world. This is our time to help younger generations, to empower them, for us to become better mentors to millennials, for us to become better mentors and colleagues to our boomer friends and our boomer colleagues, for us to be better leaders, within our work environments, for us to be better leaders in our homes, for us to leave legacies. This is our time. Our time is now. And it is my mission and my passion and my goal to help us really embrace us being that exceptional generation. So that is very much the ins and outs of why I do what I do. And again, I really wanted to just get on this episode and just provide some key insights and why I'm doing this and why I love podcasting, why I love speaking and filling what I feel is filling a void in the narrative when it comes to generational insights. And actually, let me just talk a little bit about kind of my take on generational insights. And I know sometimes I do have conversations with people, very respectful conversations, and I understand, well, you should not focus on generations. You are characterizing a group of people and you're stereotyping them. And why can't we look at people as individuals? And I do get that sometimes. And you know what? I truly understand it. And honestly, I sometimes don't like speaking about generations or characterizing people in a generational sense. But you know what? Number one, I'm a marketer by trade, so I am so used to segmentations and thinking about people as far as not only psychographics, but also demographics. Number two, we live in a world where we're constantly talking about the millennial generation. So my feeling is, hey, if we're going to acknowledge one generation, then we need to juxtapose that generation against other generations and acknowledge that there are other generations. So there is a millennial, then there has to be a boomer or a Gen Xer somewhere. And number three, just because you acknowledge generations does not mean that you're acknowledging that everyone within a generation is the same. Just like all African Americans are not the same, just like all women are not the same, just like all men are not the same. But, we would be remiss, I believe that we would be remiss if we did not think that the time that you came of age and the experiences that you shared with other people within your age range did not create some similarities. I mean, there are some similarities within people within a Gen X generation, just like there are similarities with people that are in the baby boomer generation. And so all that being said, I strongly agree that we need to treat everyone as individuals, that no two people are exactly the same. But at the same time, there are specific dynamics and experiences and pain points and opportunities that are shared, I believe, within generations. And so with that acknowledgement, it was my duty and is my passionate purpose to help the people that are in my generation and help us become better leaders and and recognize that, within this time in our lives, the time is now. It's right in front of us. We have such a great opportunity to make an impact. And I'm praying and hoping that, my platform with Gen X Amplified is able to propel that movement forward and help all of you in life and provide as much value as I can. So I encourage you to continue to listen to the podcast. And if you haven't, go back and listen to other episodes based on some of the things that, you want to hear more about. Please share this podcast with people that that you feel that would benefit from a lot of the insights that we're providing, not only from myself, but with my guests that I have on. And if you haven't already, give a rating and review on iTunes or your platform of choice, because that helps. That really helps really highlight the podcast even more and get more people to tune in and listen and to become aware of what we're trying to do over here. So again, thank you so much for listening. I am extremely honored, very honored every time you decide to put in your earbuds, listen to this show, take time to engage with this podcast. It's an honor for me to have your attention for that 20, 30, 40 minutes, an hour at that time. Thank you so much. I'm truly honored and humbled. And look, I'm trying to figure this thing out, this thing called life, just like you. And I want to do well and become a better leader and provide as much value as I can. So, this is just one way that I do this. I would also like to say, if you want to hear more about me or if you want to get in contact with me, definitely reach out. I also do consulting and coaching with individuals and companies on brand strategy. I've been fortunate to have a lot of great experiences working with some great companies and some big brands. And I like to apply those principles at the individual level when it comes to personal brand development, but also at the corporate level when it comes to overall strategic brand development as well. So speaking, I love speaking and just providing value. That's what I do. So definitely reach out to me. And if you want to hear more and continue to keep listening to the show, and I hope you guys, continue to create more impact at work, in business, and life. And remember, this is more than a podcast. This is a movement. Take care. Hey, hope you enjoyed that episode. And I just remembered something I wanted to get back on, because what I failed to do and I was going to do is that I was going to talk a little bit about my personal theme song, not talk a little bit about, but basically tell you what that is. So those of you who listen to the episode or the podcast, I should say, there's a question at the end of every episode that I ask all of my guests. If there was a song that would play every time you enter a room or when you walk down the street that matches your story and the brand, and in my case, it would be the brand of Adrion Porter, what song would that be? Basically, what would be your own personal theme song? And I wanted to take this time, because I never did this, to tell you what my personal theme song would be. And that is The Power by Snap. That's right. I've got the power. That's my failed attempt at singing, but I believe it came out in 1990. But I love that song, and the reason why that's my personal theme song, because it aligns with my mission of helping Gen Xers and leaders and mid-career professionals unlock their personal power, their superpower, so they can create more impact in life. So that's my personal theme song. I use it sometimes for my walk-on music when I speak. But anyway, The Power by Snap. All right, that was it. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Keep grinding, keep listening, and keep creating massive impact in the world. Thank you.